I think it is safe to say that rapid trigger keyboards are starting to become a little bit oversaturated, with keyboards like the Wooting 60HE and Razer Huntsman sporting the Rappy Snappy and SOCD modes. They are currently ahead of the competition. These modes can be extremely beneficial for games like CS and Overwatch, but if you play Valorant like me, Rappy Snappy is not going to benefit you as much as you think. Because of the way counter-strafing works in Valorant, regular rapid trigger is sufficient enough to give you the best advantage possible. With that being said, I would much prefer a keyboard like this one, the Oasis75, that has a more appealing look and sound than the Wooting and Huntsman right out of the box. Not to mention, this keyboard is sporting an 8 kHz polling rate, which I will get more into later in the video. So this is the Oasis75. The version I have here is the baby blue colorway with the black jade switches. These are analog switches that I wasn't sure I would like compared to the Gateron dual rail magnetic switches I have tried on other rapid trigger keyboards, but they've definitely grown on me. I did upload an unboxing of this keyboard when I first received it as a YouTube short, but included in the packaging are some extra keycaps with different media key icons, as well as a few extra switches just in case you were to run into any issues with the switches not working, and a very nice coil cable that I unfortunately was not able to use because it's a little too short for my setup. A keycap puller is also included. The build quality of this keyboard felt absolutely great. It has a full aluminum frame as well as latex foam and an aluminum alloy plate to make the sound experience better than your average rapid trigger keyboard. It also has a stainless steel counterweight block in the bottom, making this thing easily the heaviest keyboard I have ever owned. I actually questioned myself when I said this, and I went back and checked, and the Boog75 is definitely a little bit heavier than the Oasis, but they're both super heavy, high quality keyboards. One thing that set this keyboard apart from something like the Boog75 is the typing angle that this keyboard provides. The way that the aluminum stands sit on the bottom of this keyboard, I never really found myself getting wrist pain or feeling like I needed a wrist rest. The OEM themed keycaps feel very nice. I have not encountered any shine or slipperiness, and I have been exclusively using this keyboard for 2 weeks now daily. The keycaps are not see-through, so if you're somebody who plays in a very dark room, this may be something to consider. The legends are very easily read and I think look great overall. Now, I figured for this part of the video, I would do some sound tests and comparisons to other rapid trigger keyboards that I own. As far as the performance of this keyboard goes, the switches are adjustable between 0.04 millimeters and 4.0 millimeters. They feel extremely responsive, and the rapid trigger made counter-strafing in Valorant very nice. One thing I was concerned about was if the black jade switches would be too heavy of an actuation compared to the other switches that I've tried, but I ended up enjoying them more for gaming. With rapid trigger keyboards, I like to set my actuation super low, and having a little bit of a heavier actuation force actually ensured I had less misclicks and was more precise with my keystrokes. This keyboard boasts a 8000 Hz polling rate, which puts it alongside some of the fastest keyboards on the market. I do not have the tools on hand to do latency testing, but another creator who goes by the name of Lazer conducted his own latency testing, so I'll throw a clip in from his video now.
Since at 1000 FPS each frame is 1 millisecond, it's easy to see what's the latency between the registered release signal and effects taking place on screen. Of course, it's worth noting that this method takes into account latency of your whole system, CPU and monitor included. As for the Oasis75, I have to say that the results are extremely good. It almost matches the Wooting when it comes to latency, averaging at 28 milliseconds with max values at 30 milliseconds and minimum values at 23. This basically means that this keyboard is just as fast as Wooting. With 2 millisecond difference, we're talking about margin error. Very impressive feat by Backspace.
If you guys also want to check out his video, I will have the link in the description as well. Overall, this is definitely my preferred switch for gaming, but for typing, I prefer the Book75 for a few reasons. I like the sound of the Book75 more, as well as the lighter actuation that it provides. When typing, these switches felt a little too heavy for me, and because of that, it is not my preferred keyboard for work/daily use. At the end of the day though, switch feel is definitely personal preference, and if you're somebody who prefers typing on a keyboard with a little bit of a heavier switch, then this keyboard will be perfect for you. Okay, so as far as software goes, you can download it from the Backspace website. I downloaded the Windows firmware because I'm on a Windows computer. After downloading, you're gonna open this up. This is what you're gonna see. You're gonna wanna come down here on the left side to devices, and then you will see your keyboard here. If it's not there, it'll ask you to add it and pick your switches. I'm using the black jade switch. So then you can open it up. First page, you have some remapping. You can do macros and stuff like that. Honestly, I haven't tried it. I don't use macros on any of my keyboards, but I'm sure that this works great. Lighting, there's a bunch of different options. I personally like the band saturation. It's like all white keys with like a red stripe that goes through. You can change the color of the stripe. There's a bunch of different ones. Pinwheel saturation, pinwheel val. I mean, there's so many different options. You guys can go through and pick what you would like, as well as there's speed adjustments and brightness adjustments, as well as a sleep adjustment, which is pretty cool. Next is the performance tab. This is the nitty gritty. You have 3 different profiles you're able to choose from. So as I just showed off there in the software, here is where you are able to change your presets. The whole way to the left would be preset 1, the whole way to the right would be preset 3, and then this switch over here is to change to a Mac layout or a Windows layout. Having it to the left would be the Windows layout, and having it to the right would be the Mac layout. I think this is a super nice addition. I find this very convenient when switching from gaming to doing work. I don't have to open up the program or do anything like that. And then I'll click my keys here. You basically select whatever keys you want to add rapid trigger to. For Valorant, personally, I like to just use it on W, A, S, and D, as well as control, because I do like to crouch spam sometimes. Yeah, so for my settings, I have rapid trigger on. I have the initial travel at 0.12 millimeters. I have the oscillation protection at 0.2 millimeters, the dynamic trigger travel at 0.04 millimeters, as well as the dynamic reset travel at 0.04 millimeters. These are the settings that I found worked best for me. I didn't have any misclicks on these. I didn't feel that it was too sensitive. These just felt the best. So obviously feel free to test out whatever you think works best for you. Whenever I'm doing any kind of work on the computer, I do like to switch to profile 3, which I just have set to default settings. And basically this is just a lot less sensitive. It's not really fun to type on a keyboard that has different actuations for different keys. So I like to use the default settings when I'm just surfing through the web, and I think they work great. So, and then last but not least, there is the macro tab. I have never used this either, but I'm sure it works absolutely great. Overall, this is a very high quality product, and for the price of $215, I think this thing shines. You're getting an extremely high quality board with some of the best performance on the market, and overall a better build quality than most other gaming keyboards. The Book75 that I mentioned in this video is $230, so this keyboard is $15 less, and I do feel like the performance on this thing is better overall. I hope this video gave you guys some insight, and I'd like to give a huge shout out to Backspace for sending this keyboard out. I do have more rapid trigger keyboard reviews coming out in the future, so stay tuned for that, and I will talk to y'all in the next one. Peace.